right. Thank you, Kathy, and thank you everybody for coming. So I'm going to talk about the Apopka Birding Park. The importance of the site, ongoing restoration efforts, plans for the building, and how Orange Audubon can make things happen with your help. Okay, I'll start with the importance of the site. Lake Apopka is in the middle of the Florida Peninsula, used to be the second largest lake in the state. And that whole North Shore was once part of it. Then it was found to have good soil, good muck soil, and they diked it and used it for farming from the 40s to the 90s when the farmers had polluted the lake with the addition of a little bit of other pollution. And it was able to be bought out by the Water Management District, St. Johns River Water Management District. So it's a 20,000 acre lake restoration area. And this is the map of that. And so you can see that was all once part of Lake Apopka. Oops. And the Lake Apopka Wildlife Drive was created in 2015 on berm roads through the wetlands, the one-way drive. And it has become incredibly popular. I mean, even things like this, you might see people find it very, very special. And Orange Audubon has the ambassador program that supports the Water Management District at the drive. We pass out the map and brochures and keep things going smoothly. We've done that now 5 years. And our site of our nature center is the Hickerson Nursery to the right of the entrance. And it's high and dry. Excuse me while I'm trying to get rid of the picture so I can see better. Because it was unnecessary for the restoration, because it was high and dry, it wasn't part of the wetlands, it was put on the St. Johns River Water Management District surplus list in 2012. And to Orange Audubon's summer board meeting in 2015, Bob Sanders, one of our birding leaders, came and said to our board, we've got to get this property. We've got to save this property. And so we worked on it and we did. To the right is a blue grosbeak, which breeds in the area, and a red-tailed hawk, which is also bred there. So it was a greenhouse flowers nursery. And Orange Audubon worked on proposals from 2016 to 18, and 69.5 acres were deeded by the St. John's to the city of Apopka in 2018. By the way, surplus means the district is going to give it away to a municipality. Orange Audubon couldn't get it directly or it would have gone on the open market. So we had to partner with the municipality, and we chose to partner with the city of Apopka. And it was with deed restrictions for nature-based education, and it was mentioned in conjunction with Orange Audubon. So this is a really cool picture from the air of the property. So you see in the top, that's the rest of the Wildlife Drive, Luss Road. That was actually 2019, so it was pretty recently after Hurricane Irma, so it's still a lot of flooding, more than today. And this first arrow shows the ditch, and I wanted to tell you the history of that they actually dug out peat from the muck for potting for the nursery industry. And that's the origin of that tree line and canal over there, which we're getting closer to exploring. Okay, and then the other two arrows are to the Expressway Authority's open areas that are retention areas for the building of the 429. And in the middle, you can see to the left, you can see the building that we're going to work on. And then there's concrete pads that were the bases of the old greenhouses. So yes, the whole thing was covered with greenhouses, and the greenhouses burned right around the time that the district purchased it, but the concrete pads remain. We're working towards getting them taken out. It's the St. Johns River Water Management District that's expressed interest in doing that, but we just have to wait a little longer before that starts. Okay, our ongoing restoration efforts. Well, here you see the entrance to the Apopka Birding Park, just to the right of the Wildlife Drive. And during the Magnolia Park renovation, the city of Apopka opened this parking lot. And our property then is just to the left of that through this yellow gate, our leased property. And here's the building that we're going to renovate. That's David Driley, our landscape architect. Here's the second gate. And then so basically beyond the gate, there are 60 plus acres of old nursery site to restore. And our objective is to restore native habitats for birds and to make the place inviting for visitors with trails and benches and all those amenities. Some of the birds that like these upland areas and grasses are sparrows in the winter and also painted buntings in the winter and blue grosbeaks in the breeding season. And it's just a habitat that has pretty much disappeared in Central Florida since it's perfect for home building. Well, we got the lease after a long time of work from the city of Apopka on March 20th, 2024. And you can see in this picture how all these commissioners and Mayor Nelson and to the left of Mayor Nelson, third from the right is our Parks and Rec Director, Radley Williams, with whom we've worked. And yes, the commissioners are very happy because they know how it dragged on. The lease is a very good lease. We've had it really worked on by attorneys, and it's 30 years with unlimited 5-year renewals. So with that length of time, we feel we could spend our money, our hard-earned money, our hard donated money, and put in the amenities on this park because we'll have enough time to appreciate them. There have been habitat restoration obstacles as of today or next week. We don't have the water yet. It's supposed to be coming soon, though. And the concrete pads remain, as I mentioned, and the Kogan grass treatment is still ongoing. Kogan grass is one of the world's top 10 invasive weed pests, very dense growths of it out there. But
Me llevo yo a las tijeras que tengo allí.
we did get a good treatment by Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission's Upland Grant in early spring 2025, and it seems to have really knocked it back. It's the kind of plant that you have to keep at, and there are other areas that we didn't treat, so we'll be working on that. And we have a National Audubon in Action grant that will help with the restoration and bringing in community participation. In this picture, you've got Alan Shapiro on our team and a consultant from the Natives Nursery discussing what he would do. The Natives Nursery is the premier, most experienced company with grassland habitat restoration. And we're going to, although that original quote was a little high, we're going to go back and work with them again. And we hold family bird walks and try to pull in more members of the community, and that's supported by that grant. And this park is really meant to connect people with nature. We have the monthly bird surveys. They started in August 2024, and we'll compare what we see to the surveys done by Bob Sanders and friends back in 2016 and 17. They're seeing typically about 60 species. They're usually the last Saturday of the month. And some volunteers searched for gopher tortoise burrows on the property, and they located 13 initially, and I think a few more have been located. Here's Dr. Shauna Resnick by a big one just the other day. So there are gopher tortoises out there in this upland habitat, and we want to make it even better habitat for them and protect them. Bird boxes are being put up. Jack Horton on our team is taking the lead on that. And I want to show you that he has a new barn owl box that he's actually purchased, the same kind that the district puts up, the plastic kind, and will be putting up shortly. Yes, apparently barn owls need some territorial space. I can let him talk at the end of my presentation since I see he's here. But anyway, yes, we're going to put up the boxes for all the different species. These smaller boxes are good for screech owls, great crested flycatchers, and other cavity nesters, secondary cavity nesters. By the way, the one to the right is next to the Expressway Authority retention area, which in the rainy season collects water, and birders go there to see if there's any shorebirds or anything interesting. And long range plans will try to make some kind of amenities next to that retention area so that it's easier for birders to see. And I happen to love the Leopold bench. You can go either way. Very cool. So we'll be making some of those. And we're working, well, we actually did a forest stewardship plan. The lady in the center, Dana Sussman, is the forester from Florida Forest Service, and that's Jim Helmers, an experienced habitat restoration person, and Alex DeBear, who leads the surveys. And this is Dana and Andrea Bowling from FWC working on the forest stewardship plan, which is now done and will be very shortly posted on our website. And it's a guide for our restoration activities, which may include, will include trying to restore part of it, the property, to longleaf pine, a sandhill habitat. So here we are with the new signs. Thanks, Jack, with the park rules and explaining what this is. That this is it's Orange Audubon's park, but it actually belongs to the city of Apopka. We're leasing it. All right, some of you may be most interested in the building, so now let me talk about that. Well, this old truck shop, we saw it from the drive and walking around there. We were very fascinated by it. It seemed very sturdy. We visited it, our committee, and it was a mess inside, but it just seemed very sturdy. And we brought the building inspector from the city of Apopka, and he said, yes, it's quite sturdy. It would be definitely a good idea to renovate it instead of tearing it down. If you renovate, you save energy to create the materials and transport them, so that saves carbon, plus it avoids all that waste disposal. So it's a very ecological thing to do to renovate. And we got very excited about it. These big roll-up doors, we vision them as big windows with a lot of daylighting. And I bragged to various people in earlier versions of this talk about how sturdy it was and how it had stood up, looked perfect after Hurricane Irma, after Hurricane Ian, but Milton did a number on it. But that's okay because the renovation will be taking down those roll-up doors and the roof, and that's perfectly okay. And well, here is our Orange Audubon board about early summer, last summer, brainstorming what we want in the building. And then we had picked our architect, Little Diversified Architectural Services of Orlando and Charlotte, and recommended them. They were recommended by other people in the green building community as very green, had worked on net zero energy buildings. So we started the visioning sessions with them. Here's our lead architect, Philip Donovan. And we really liked what they did. And by July 2024, they already had their plans. And we presented those to our members at the Lou Gardens. And then in October, the new version of the plans were presented to the city commission, also, who liked them. But let me tell you about the first design. We wanted a mezzanine because there was kind of like two little lofts in the building, and the ceiling was very high in the original building. So we had the idea to have a mezzanine. And then this was Alan Shapiro's idea, an annex to the left, and then people could go out from the mezzanine onto the top of the annex. Okay. But then we got the price tag for that, over $2 million. And You had to have a lift and strengthen the annex to support the people. So that didn't sound like what we should do. So we sent them back to the drawing board. Um, and this is what they came up with, which gives the same feel. It also looks aesthetically pleasing. And it's lower roof. That's more the level of the existing roof, which is more energy efficient. You don't have to heat such a high roof. And it didn't have anything above the annex, but it had otherwise the features that we wanted. So, and it was 2,400 square feet, the building originally, and with the annex, it'll be 3,400 square feet. It's a small nature center, but we made it work for our needs. I think we will make it work for our needs. And it'll have 50 solar panels that will generate 21.5 watts, kilowatts rather, which will be enough for the building. Should be in net zero energy because of that. And it'll have a 200-gallon cistern, rain barrel, and the water will be filtered 3 ways and then used for toilet flushing. So we'll save that water bill. And then this is looking east. The bird safe glass on those windows looks out onto the native landscape. So here you come into the right through a vestibule, which keeps the conditioned air inside, and it has walk-off mats, so it keeps the dirt out. And then you go in. I'm not sure if you guys are seeing my cursor. Oh, well. To the left are 3 restrooms, all wheelchair accessible. And to the right is a little reception area and an office. And then you're going forward, you are in the exhibit space and finally into the classroom. And as you see, the bottom is the observatory room. Here, I'll show you. And the space, when the classroom is opened up, it will fit over 100 chairs. So we could have our programs in there when we could actually, other groups could rent it for programs. It would be a pretty space and pretty setting. So what you do, if come in, I wish my cursor would show, I'm sorry. Where those guys are there, you come in and the little reception areas to the left, it's got a little gift shop. And then you go to the left to the office. And to the right goes out to the annex. The exhibits will be movable so that we can open it up and put all the chairs in as a meeting space. And in the foreground, you see the classroom, and it'll have a rolling partition, which will be a felt. So it's a little less expensive than some partitions, but it also works well. Our architect has a similar one in their offices, and it's nice. So that's what the layout will be. Let's see. And so what topics will we have in the movable exhibits? What are we going to educate about? We're going to educate about habitat restoration, native plantings, local wildlife, especially birds and bird migration, green building and sustainable practices, health and wellness benefits of birding, restoration efforts at Lake Apopka, and probably many more. But those are the key ones that we know we're going to do. And I want to point out that the donor tree, where we're going to recognize our donors, will be there. And I'll show you where we got that artwork in a second. That is the entrance to the birdwatching annex. And that'll have, as I said, bird safe glass and binoculars for viewing birds in the garden outside. And we'll have a great landscape garden out there, native garden with water features. And the murals will depict resident birds, summer breeding birds, winter birds, and birds in migration. And the muralist that we've already selected is Delia Miller from Apopka. And we just love her mural on Votah and Thompson Road in Apopka, that she's there on the left. And we know her, we knew her mother who just passed away. And so she's agreed to do the murals for us, and it's going to be really pretty. And the native landscape and water features outside the annex have been designed by David Driley, who was one of the pioneers of native landscaping in Central Florida. Green Images Nursery in Christmas. And the design captured the attention of the American Institute of Architects Orlando chapter. And when our team entered it in the unbuilt category, among 18 entrants, it was the winner. So we're starting our awards. They're going to enter it again once the building is built. They're very proud of this award. And it's really a nice team to work with. So my last topic then is how Orange Audubon can make things happen with your help. So we have this flyer that's been around a little while. Linda Carpenter, who's on, helped us with this one. And the idea of this flyer is if you want naming rights for parts of the building, these are the cost of those parts. This is right from the architect. $350,000 for the bird observatory, $250,000 for the classroom, $100,000 for the solar array, or you can donate for individual panels. So this one is available on our website. So if any of you have work for a company that you think might be interested in one of these levels, and they could share them with another company, have two logos on a section, or do it over more than 1 year. But please do help us if you know of anybody work for a company. And yes, there are smaller donations needed as well. Another thing where people are helping is by doing the bird surveys, the monthly bird surveys, and the work days. Bit by bit, we're figuring out what we should do. And this was the first one in Earth Day. It was Planet Fitness. Some of their corporate staff came out to work with us, and we got a lot done. This is a really pretty oak hammock that has some invasive plants that the nursery people just dumped, asparagus fern and syngonium. I can't think of a common name for syngonium, arrowwood weed or something like that. But anyway, it climbs up the trees and it's not that easy to take down. But we've been working on it. And we had a second work day, May 31st, and then the one June 28th coming up. And that on that May 31st workday, Alan Shapiro, who's in the center, has been leading demolition inside the building. There was kind of like a little shed thing in there, a little storage or dressing room or something over there. And he's been taking it down, and we're using the wood. We're going to use the wood for making bird boxes and other things. And this is a new volunteer with us, Steve Turner, and he and Alan today were cutting pieces of that wood for bird boxes. So that's going to be a fun day on Saturday for those who are doing that project. So you may be wondering, when can we start construction? Well, the building will cost, even this design of the building with inflation and tariffs and stuff, it will cost about $2 million. So do we have it? Not quite. And also we need operating funds. We need quite a bit of operating funds to be able to have a center director and bring Kathy up to full time and just continue sustainable operations. So we are actively fundraising at the largest level. Smaller funds help too, but the largest level. So again, do you have a contact at a company that would like a section of the building named for them? Or do you have any friends who could help us connect to anybody? And can you donate yourself? It's really easy now on our website, just orangeaudubonfl.org/donate. And I'd just like to thank the Apopka Birding Park Working Group, Alan Shapiro, Kathy Rigling, Susan Toby Barrett, myself, Jack Horton, Rick Baird, and Teresa Williams. Here's Rick in front of the dumpster, and here is Jack with poles that he used to put up the signage. Yes, we've all been working really hard on this, and other volunteers have helped us, and we appreciate them too. So this Apopka Birding Park is a place where we will restore upland habitat for wildlife to thrive, and a place for people to enjoy wildlife and to learn many things about living with the environment. So if you need more information or can help in any way, please email me at info@orangeaudubonfl.org. And are there any questions? Thank you for your attention.
All right, we do have a question from Susan. She asks, does the Wildlife Drive intersect with this new building? It looks like there are a lot of walking trails.
There are a lot of walking trails, and we're going to make them. This paved road that comes in, maybe I can go back to the beginning of my show and just show you the map. The paved road is easy to walk. At some point, we will improve it so it's better wheelchair accessible. But no, this is separate from the Wildlife Drive. And it will be open whenever we are able to staff it and keep it open. Let's see, one more. Oops, which is our picture. I'm sorry, I'm trying to find our picture. You want to, I hope that answered that. Yes. So that main road, curvy road up there, uh, is going to be existing. And then with all those concrete pads and the roads for the nursery, we're going to selectively leave many of them. So those will be other paths. And we're making paths up by the oaks at the top of the map. So yep, there'll be plenty of places to walk around, and hopefully as we change the vegetation from just weedy plants to good native plants that attract wildlife, it'll be more fun to walk around.
All right, do you think Jack could explain about how much space an owl boxes need?
Yes, Jack, can you? Okay. This is Jack Horton on our team. Can you take yourself off mute?
Well, he's on mute. And while we're waiting, Rick has a decision been made about a walk across the canal to the drive?
We're not very interested in that at this point because of security then. Something in the future.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. You can't see me because my video's locked.
Oh, sorry.
Everything's unlocked now.
There we go. Hey, everybody. The box we put up yesterday was a screech owl box. I do have a barn owl box to go in the northern section of the property. Actually, it's a replacement for one that the district had that broke off. And the barn owl box is, good grief, it's probably, I don't know, 3-4 feet long, and then it's the other dimension. It's probably 2.5 by 2.5 feet. It's a big thing. It needs to be facing an open field. We have an existing barn owl box on the property that we adopted from St. John's, and it has 2 resident barn owls in it. I checked last week, and there were 2 in there. And then as far as barred owls, I've heard some barred owls in there, but not consistently at all. But once we are able to get to the 2 northern sections that are very wooded, those would be good places to put barred owl boxes in some trees.
And once
And
we
I
get,
think on our Christmas bird count, we did have a barred owl sitting in the oak hammock. So I think I got a
Yeah,
picture.
that's where I've heard them there twice. One time I heard them and they were really close, but I couldn't find them. I mean, they were really close. But then many other times they have not been in there. There is I'm pretty sure I know where the nest is. There's a group of pileated woodpeckers in there. And they're fun. They come zooming around.
so Hurricane Milton knocked out the culvert such that you can't get to the top of our property. So once that's fixed, but the city has promised to fix it, then that might open up and you might be able to see even different species, right?
Yeah. And then we do have two eagle nests that are very close to our properties. One is just north of our northern section. There was an existing nest right near there. It was legally cut down over the summer. That pair of bald eagles, when they arrived, they built a new nest, and then that nest was promptly taken over by a pair of great horned owls. But that nest is, again, once we can get to that other section, will be very, very viewable, and the light will be correct as well from where we're coming from. The light will be on it. The great horned owls had two baby owlets, and then to the west, uh, there was a old osprey nest that two eagles took over. Those two eagles were the same two that got displaced by the great horned owls. So in 12 months, their nest got cut down. They built a new nest that got taken over by great horned owls. Then they took over that old osprey nest, which you can see from the wildlife drive on Lust way out there. But on our property, if you go to the west, it'd be very close, very easy viewing.
Very cool. Any other questions? That's it. I think most of the people on tonight are pretty familiar with our project and our supporters, and we appreciate this very much. Just be aware of what we need to make it happen. We're going to need more money in the bank before we can pull the trigger and build. So if you know anybody or can figure out any connections, please do. That's it, Susan?
Yeah, well, we have them from Kathy said this is very exciting, fantastic planning. And Lillian says you're all so amazing. Thank you for all you do. And thank you, Lillian, and thank you, Kathy.
Yeah.
Did I
Yeah,
miss?
Oh, go ahead. And I should mention the North Shore Birding Festival, for some of you are participants in that. This year it's going to be the next weekend in December, not the 1st. It's December 11th through 15th. We were able to get Wakawa Youth Camp. So we hope we'll see you there.
Yeah, and we will be back in September with our bird chats.
But we're still doing surveys, so
Yeah, but surveys continue.
yeah, you can just, if you go on our website, there's a section for surveys. And there's even North Shore surveys, which are point counts by car. So the next one will be the last Tuesday in July. So yeah, we can always use help.
All right. Well, this is a little earlier than usual, but we'll let everybody go and hope you have a great weekend. And maybe we'll see some of you out there Saturday for our work day or the bird survey.
Yes. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Have a good one.